You know that feeling when you're in a conversation and you just feel invisible? It's a really strange and frustrating place to be. But what if I told you there might be some unconscious habits at play? Today, we're going to look at 5 of them. And hey, this isn't about blame. It's about understanding so you can finally feel heard and seen. Let's dive in.
Right? It's that exact moment. You're sharing something you care about, but it feels like your words are just floating away. If that's ever happened to you, trust me, you are so not alone. It's a feeling that can leave you wondering, what just happened?
And look, this isn't just some small thing we can brush off. When it happens over and over, it can really start to affect how you feel about yourself. It's like you're in a crowded room, but you're wearing an invisibility cloak. And the worst part is, you're not sure how you even put it on.
So why does this happen? Well, a great place to start is with the basic rhythm of any good conversation. And just to be super clear, we're not here to point fingers or make anyone feel bad. This is all about understanding that delicate dance that's required for a real connection to happen.
Think about it like this. Every conversation is a back and forth between a speaker and a listener. The very first unconscious habit is simply spending a little too much time as the speaker. Conversations that feel really good, they thrive on that give and take. To really be heard, you also have to be a great listener.
Now, here's what's so interesting. A lot of the time, the reasons we might talk more come from a good place. Maybe you're just bursting with exciting news, or you think you're helping out by keeping the conversation going. But what really matters is the impression it gives. That maybe, just maybe, you're not as interested in what they have to say. It's all about perception. Okay, habit number 2 is a really tricky one, especially if you're someone who cares a lot about the people in your life. You want what's best for them, right? So you offer advice, you point out things they could do better. But if that's mostly what they hear from you, even your best advice can start to feel like nonstop criticism. And eventually, people just tune out. It's a natural defense.
So what's the fix? Well, it's definitely not to stop caring. It's all about finding balance. If you mix in some real encouragement and point out what they're doing right, that constructive feedback becomes so much easier to hear. It shows you see the whole person, not just the problems. It really comes back to that give and take.
Now, let's shift gears a bit and talk about something that goes beyond just words. Because the energy we bring into a room, that vibe we give off, can be a huge factor in how people respond to us.
And that brings us to our 3rd habit, accidentally becoming a constant source of negativity. If most conversations with you turn towards complaining or what's wrong with everything, it creates this heavy, draining energy that people will naturally start to avoid.
And there's a real reason for that. Negativity is basically contagious. It can literally pull down someone else's mood and just make them feel worse. So when people start to step away from that, they're often just protecting their own energy. Makes sense, right? The vibe you put out really does matter.
All right, now for a really fascinating one. Sometimes the reason we get overlooked has less to do with what we're actually saying and way more to do with what we're not saying. It's all about that gap between what's going on in our head and what people see on the outside.
This is habit number 4, the overthinking spiral. I think so many of us have been here. It all starts with a good thing. You really want to say something meaningful. But then you get stuck in your head, trying to find the absolute perfect words. You're editing, you're second-guessing, and then poof, the conversation has moved on.
And here's the disconnect. Inside, you feel totally engaged. You were working so hard, but on the outside, you just looked quiet. So other people might misread your silence as you being uninterested. They might think, well, they don't want to talk, and then they pull back to give you space.
And our 5th and final habit is tied right into this. It's about having a presence that doesn't quite grab attention. People are just naturally drawn to confident energy. So if your body language is a little hesitant or your voice is soft and uncertain, people might unconsciously overlook you. It's not mean-spirited, it's just that your presence gets lost in the noise.
Okay, we've gone through a lot, and before we wrap up, we have to put all of this into the right frame of mind. This is so important. This is not about finding new ways to beat yourself up. This is about gaining the superpower of self-awareness. And what is self-awareness, really? It's just the ability to see your own patterns, to notice what you're doing without piling on a bunch of judgment. It's a tool for growth, not a stick to beat yourself with.
And please hear me on this. If you feel ignored, it is not always about you. It's not always your fault. You can only control your side of the street. You can't control how other people react or who they decide to connect with.
So here's the way forward. Realizing you do some of these things doesn't make you a bad person, it just makes you human. And you know what? Sometimes people just aren't a good fit. and that is perfectly okay. The best thing you can do is focus your amazing energy on the people who see you and appreciate you for who you are.
So as we close out, I want to leave you with this thought. This isn't about some huge personality makeover. It's about taking one small, gentle step. Maybe it's asking one extra question in a conversation, or just noticing when you're overthinking without judging yourself. What's one tiny thing you can try this week?